Welcome to Cosmo and the Movie Within. I'm your host, Cosmo Lanier. Today, we're going to be doing Cruella. Oh, and don't forget, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is much appreciated. But back to the main show. Cruella. DeVille! Curella is starring Emma Stone. I love Emma Stone. She's been in a ton of stuff that I love. What has Emma Stone been in there that I personally love? Emma Stone was in Spider-Man. Emma Stone was in... I've never seen LA. I think it was called that, where they're dancing and singing and all that. But she's been in a ton of stuff that I love. But it's starring Emma Stone. And pretty much Cruella is the prequel origin story of Cruella DeVille from 101 Dalmatians. Obviously, everybody knows 101 Dalmatians, so I don't need to dive into that. As most of everybody knows, which I just found out today that my daughter did not know this, but they've already did a live action movie of 101 Dalmatians. They never did a live action one of strictly Cruella, but you have that template of already having 101 Dalmatians and 102 Dalmatians that came out in 1996 and 2000. 102 Dalmatians came out in the year 2000, starring Glenn Close. So you have that as a backdrop. So pretty much this one, once again, another live action. Now it's a little bit more grittier. Obviously in not today's there, but today's technology, which plays a little bit into it, but not really, because this movie is taking place in the 70s, when Cruella was in her young 20s. You know, she was a little young whippersnapper, as you would say. But yeah, so Cruella is just pretty much of how she became who she was, or what you see in 101 Dalmatians when she's already older, I would say, because she's not old, but she's pretty older. And, you know, at this point, she's skinning Dalmatians for their fur, to have these exotic Dalmatian furs. So, but this movie still doesn't give you how she went from in the beginning days, and how she got to that extreme of killing and all that of Dalmatians. They do things in the movie which would explain and would show, hey, that makes sense, but then they take it away. The movie is confusing at times. Just to tell you a little bit about the movie, because obviously everybody, you know about Cruella DeVille. She's a monster, she's evil, she's a psychopath, she's mean. She has her two little stooges, Horace and Jasper, and they are, you know, her little stooges that run amok and do her bidding and steal the Dalmatians for her. But which gives it a little bit more detailed in Cruella, which also doesn't make more sense, because you have this template of what Cruella ends up, and this is supposed to be how it started, and in doing so, they dropped the ball a couple times, because it doesn't fully give you the picture of how we started here and got to that point. Especially when the way they're leading up to be 101 Dalmatians from this. Now, if they do a Cruella 2, maybe they can, which I've read that they're trying to hopefully do a sequel that's also still kind of much of a prequel, you know, to 101 Dalmatians, and then 101 Dalmatians, because that would make more sense. Because if they went straight to 101 Dalmatians from this, it kind of wouldn't make a lot of sense, because things are not fully explained thoroughly to how we got to this end point. You see what I'm trying to say? So pretty much, Cruella, she's a psychopath. Emma Stone plays her well, amazing. The outfits in the movie, it's like a different twist. Like, if you're thinking of the Glenn Close Cruella and how she portrayed it, you're gonna get a completely different vibe. It's something completely different. It's darker. It's not as Disney-fied and funny and that type of Disney feel. This feels like a more grittier live action movie. So temper your expectations. This movie is definitely a niche movie. Just to dive into it, they spent 100 to 200 million on this movie. These big companies, they do these things, or they have these franchises, they have these fan bases. Disney has a whole live action division. So expect around the spectrum of all their prominent stuff becoming live action. I've heard things about Lilo and Stitch. I've heard they're already doing Little Mermaid. They have a ton they're working on Lion King 2 as we speak. There's a ton of Aladdin 2's coming. There's a ton of stuff. They have literally a whole division dedicated to live action. So either you're a fan of the new live action or you're not. I personally, a lot of the new live action, they're behind the 8 ball. Like, you're doing these franchises that are so prominent, like the Lion King, and these franchises that people are so invested in, that when you're doing a live action, it's like it's hard to succeed because you have such a huge hill to climb. And some things you might just want to leave alone because they're just, like Lion King. I like aspects of the Lion King, but it's just too much. Aladdin, I like aspects of Aladdin, but overall, that's Robin Williams. Robin Williams played Aladdin. That touches my heart. I was raised on Robin Williams. Like, Robin Williams has, they say, the soundtrack of your life. He has the filmography of my life. Like, he had so many movies that I watched from being itty bitty to growing up, and it's like, I love Robin Williams. God rest his soul. But it's just hard. So anyway, they have this template, but they just said, hey, we're gonna throw a whole bunch of money. We're gonna get Emma Stone, somebody big, famous. She's popular. I didn't know that this movie was announced in 2013. 2013, that's ages ago. 2016 is when they hired Emma Stone, and then they brought in Glenn Close as an executive producer to see the actual overall of what the Cruella character would be. So if somebody seeing that says here is like, oh, Emma Stone and Glenn Close is actually being brought on as an executive producer to make sure they oversee the whole Cruella look, the whole Cruella feel, then you're gonna kind of think that they're gonna be still in the 1996 live action film, because they're bringing on the same people specifically for those roles. But what they got was something completely different. They didn't get that. And to dive deeper in it, their original writer was the person who wrote The Devil Wears Prada. You can see that in the movie. It has a very Devil Wears Prada feel. But then somewhere, I think in 2016 as well, they got a new writer. The person who wrote Edge of Tomorrow and Spectra, like hardcore action movies. Like, we're going from Devil Wears Prada to Edge of Tomorrow. If you've never seen Edge of Tomorrow, it's a Tom Cruise movie, and it's tons of action. Like, it's just, I don't see the parallel. Like, I don't know why. And then they had a director that he was gonna direct it, but then last minute scheduling conflicts happened, and they had to get a whole new director. And then, icing on the cake, Emma Stone is about to shoot. She says, you know what, I'm moving to Europe. I'm moving to the UK for the summer, because that's what they filmed Cruella. We're gonna go to the UK for the summer, and we're just gonna get invested into that time frame, into that that lifestyle. While she's there, of course, you're in the UK. You know what you gotta see? You gotta see a Spice Girls concert. You wanna really, 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 really. If you wanna be my lover, don't worry about it. Don't ask me how I know some of these lyrics. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? So, she was at, a Spice Girls concert, going crazy, getting wild. Oh my God, Freaky Spice! Oh, Freaky Spice. That's a new Spice Girl. Oh my God, Scary Spice! Oh my God, Baby Spice! Getting crazy. She gets on her friend's shoulder, climbs on there, yeah! And then she falls in, breaks her shoulder. Not smart. So she thought she sprained it. No, she broke it. Mind you, they're about to start filming. So of course you gotta call ring-a-ling-a-ling, ding-dong-ding. Hello? Yes, this is Emma Stone. Because, of course, you can't have Emma Stone actually calling. You got to have, like, your publicist or your agent or your manager, somebody. Yes, I just wanted to say that Emma, she can't report to filming today. Oh, why not? You know, this movie is costing $100 to $200 million. Like, what's good? We need to be starting filming now. Like, we announced this movie in 2013. It's 2019. Like, what's going on? We've held long enough. Well, yeah, she was at a Spice Girls concert. Come again? I can't hear you. She was at a Spice Girls concert and she got a little crazy, and yeah, she broke her shoulder. Come again? I thought you said she was at a Spice Girls concert and she got crazy and broke her shoulder. Yes, that's what happened. So I think we're gonna have to. She's not gonna make it in today. Like, what do we even say after that? Like, you just gotta hang up. Like, what do you say to that? Like, okay, let me call everybody out to let them know that production has to hold again because Emma Stone wanted to get wild at a Spice Girls concert. And, you know, I'm not even gonna hate because, you know, little quick story. Back in, now it's the playoffs in Madison Square Garden and all that. Back in, I want to say, I forgot the year, but early, not early 90s, mid 90s. Mind you, Spice Girls at the whatever age it was, because I might have been between 9 and 12, somewhere in between there. Spice Girls is at huge, and I mean huge, all over the place. I'm at Madison Square Garden, walking by. Me and my mom were trying to get back to Penn Station so we can head back home. My mom worked in New York. So we're walking by Madison Square Garden, and coming from her office, we just happened to go that direction. I think something else was in that area that she had to go to. And we're there standing, and you know who pulls up? This huge limo pulls up. And you know who's in the limo? The Spice Girls. Spice Girls pull up, and I'm looking like, mind you, we got to get our train, so we're booking it. But I'm just like, what? It's the Spice Girls! And they literally get out almost in front of us and heading in the back, through the back to Madison Square Garden. I guess they had a concert that night. So I never officially met the Spice Girls, but I saw them getting out the limo at one point. But yeah, so you have all these different things. You have a movie. They already have a predator. They already have a backdrop of 101 Dalmatians. They already have, you know, Glenn Close, the person who acted in the original 101 Dalmatians, to be executive producer, to oversee everything, to make sure it's hitting right, make sure Emma Stone is being the best possible Cruella DeVille. Then you have a Devil Wears Prada script. Then you get somebody to rewrite it that's completely from an action movie sense. Then you have all types of different production issues. And mind you, these people at Disney, they're not doing the research because it's happened so much time. They throw a whole bunch of money, and then they see the end product, and then they realize, hold up, this is not your typical Disney movie. This is probably not in the vein that we might have thought. And we also can't advertise it like Maleficent. Maleficent was different because it was a villain movie, but they had kitty stuff in there. There was elements of it. And at the end of the day, Maleficent was bad, but she had a good heart in the movie. And if you see it, she was kind of soft. Like, she liked old girl. Like, she had this real hard exterior, but inside, she was really nice. And so, like, you're not really getting a huge evil vibe from Maleficent once you actually watch the movie. But in this case, she is a bad guy, but not even really. Like, in Cruella, she's not even really a bad person. Like, they tiptoe between schizophrenia or split personality disorder, but they never go into it. They say, hey, she's one way, and when she acts like Cruella, she's just mean. So that's just like her mean side. But if they just say, hey, she had borderline, she was bipolar, or she had split personalities, I think that would have helped the movie overall, because it would have made more sense. And certain things that happen in the movie makes perfect sense of how she might be when she's an adult and like super old. But it also makes sense that they had multiple writers, they had different people, they had production started in 2013 announcing, and then it takes all the way to now to finally get the movie out. So you have all these things going in and out throughout the movie. Explains why you don't have a cohesive movie. And the end product, you have the bits and pieces that you might like, and you have a niche movie that if you like that type of stuff, there's a lot of high fashion, there's a lot of dope acting. There's like, Emma Stone played the hell out of Cruella. Like, she did that. But as when you go deeper into it, it doesn't give great character development to an extent. Like they start off with something and you can build from that, but then a little bit more in the movie, they kind of erased all that. And it literally, once you read the stories about having multiple writers, then it feels like that. It feels like, okay, this is going this direction. Okay, but this person is going in another direction. Okay, this is going in another direction. It feels like somebody literally wrote the equation and then somebody behind them erased it and put their own equation in, and then that person erased it and put another equation in, because it feels like that. It's not cohesive to the storyline of building a character. Because then you're ending like, well, it doesn't make sense of how this person ends up being how she is when she's older. It just doesn't. And Jasper and Horace, they're like family. Like, they're raised. So, but in the end, they're like stooges. That doesn't, and then they try to expound on them being stooges in this movie, and they're looking at her like she's crazy. Like, no, we're family. We're not stooges. Like, what's wrong with you? So it's like, okay, well, how can this point of view get across when they're already combating it in this movie, and we're not even, 40 years down the line? So that part is a little confusing. But neither to say, if you just take that away, just on a normal flat surface, movie's great. I personally, it wasn't for me, but I think the acting was phenomenal. I think the costumes and the designs, the set designs, I can see that definitely winning an Oscar, being nominated for an Oscar. That scene where she has an outfit, she takes a match to it, and the whole outfit turns red, that scene is fire. That whole arc of her outfits, and then she has like a whole arc where she's battling Emma Thompson. But she plays the what's her name? The Baroness. Sorry for the little wait. But yeah, Emma Thompson plays the Baroness, and her and the Baroness have a little competition together. But in that competition, there's a lot of dope outfits. So, but if you're into high fashion, if you're into, great acting, if you're into, a more darker side of things, a more villainy side, like talking to my daughter and talking to a different amount of people, talking to Steph, everybody's saying like, oh yeah, I like the darkness, I like the villain role, I like how it was, and I like that too. I just think they didn't dive deeper enough into it, or all of the groundwork they made, they just erased it. But I loved it. Like, I can take myself out of the equation and just look as a whole. No, it was a good movie. It was, I mean, the sets and the costumes were amazing. Like, they did that. They killed that. But if you're trying to make it a huge, big budget movie to the masses, kids are not going to enjoy this. Not all kids are not going to enjoy this. Not everybody is going to enjoy this. This is a specific type. The more of an adult angle would probably enjoy this. I don't see the younger crowd, like talking about children more, say, enjoying this movie. I don't think it's going to be something that, where they can get their money. And then it's a pandemic. Then they had issues of, where am I going to put this movie at? Where are we going to, are we going to put in movies? So then they put it to Disney Plus. Of course, they charge the $30, which sucks. And they can put it in the movie theater as well. But you're not making the amount of money that you put into this movie. So that's the sucky part. So you have all this money that you put into it, and now with the pandemic and how long drawn it took to get the movie made, it just, in the end, you're losing money. And obviously, there's stuff in the movie that's supposed to springboard them to do 101 Dalmatians live action again. I'm assuming they're going to do it regardless, because this is a huge franchise and they're just going to take this on the chin because, of all the things that happen. But the only thing I can say is, for the future, more cohesive. maybe not such a large span of time, because when you have such a large span of time in between, so many things can happen. So maybe doing a sequel in a shorter span, getting a cohesive look, a cohesive vision, and getting on point. Because even Disney was like, we don't know how to market this. And when we market it, you got one crowd that loves it and another crowd that hates it. When you market it, we don't really know what aspect to put it in, what ratio, what group to put it in. And now we thought we had this huge big budget movie that's for the masses. In reality, it's for a certain crowd. And that type of movie, they don't want it for a certain crowd. They want their money back. But as a whole, I can look at it and say, oh, that's an amazing movie. That's great. I can feel it. I like it. I personally didn't like it because, I wasn't as interested in anything. But I still respected it. And I still, a spade is a spade. And if you see something good and you see something that's visually pleasing and you see something that was done well, I can commend it. But script-wise, no, it needed more work. Because even certain parts in the script, it just made no sense. It literally looked like it had too many chefs in the kitchen. And some parts of the movie, some parts of the meal was good, and some parts of the meal wasn't good. So that they would have to fix, because I did not care for the script. The script was it was everywhere, and I just didn't like it. And I think if they just made little tweaks, would have made everything 100 times better. We're gonna try something a little different. I had such a different view than my daughter. We're gonna bring her in so we can get her point of view, and we're just gonna talk about it a little bit. Hey everyone, all right, this is my daughter, Brooklyn.
Hi.
Let's see how she feels about it. How do you feel about this movie?
I love the movie personally, and from the perspective of a cinematography student and a professional model and a professional actor, I really, really like the cinematography aspect of it. And in the movie, you'll see different shots, and they just look really cool. And what my father was talking about with the dress, it's like a white dress, and then it's like a flame, and then it turns to a red dress. It's really pretty, and I really like the look of it. I really love the fashion aspect of it, and I really like the acting. And yeah, I personally really, really love the movie, and I recommend people watch it. But he's right, it is an acquired taste if you like fashion, and if you like just like fashion and the villain. I've always rooted for the villain since I was very young. So if you like villain movies, and if you root for the villain, and if you like fashion, you'll definitely love this movie.
Do you feel like the script conveyed what they were trying to do? Do you feel like she was a hardcore villain by the end of this movie?
By the end of the movie, to me, I think she was. I think if you look at it in a broad way, it does match. It matches. It all kind of makes sense. But if you look really deep into it, you can see a ton of stuff that could be very wrong and doesn't make sense. But if you look at it in a general, it kind of does make sense. That's how I looked at it as. But I think by the end she was a villain. It's just probably not the way people expected her to be a villain as.
I think she was a half-butt villain. It was I'm villain, I have villain-ish tendencies, but I haven't really gotten to my bag.
I guess that kind of makes sense. But I think she was technically a villain at the end. It's just not exactly the villain that we saw in 101 Dalmatians.
And
or the one I've seen.
What happened to Horace and Jasper? How did they become two stooges? They were family. That's cousin. That's they're not literally cousins, but that's pretty much kin. She met them at 6, 7. She met them itty bitty and was raised to adulthood. Now all of a sudden I'm your sister, and all of a sudden I'm telling you, big dog, go get me something I want now. If you don't like it, deuces. That's how we rolling.
Okay, yeah, you are right about that.
That's what we doing now. I'll look at her too, because they would look at her in the movie who this? Who this?
Yeah.
She gotta go. So no, I wasn't feeling that. I don't want to spoil it because some things happen, but those things explain why she might hate Dalmatians, but then they completely erased that, and then by the end of it, it was like,
that's what I was saying.
yeah, like, you know, like they're cool, like, you know, I don't got no beef with them, like they alright, like I won't ask them to the wedding or nothing, but you know, I might ask them, like, you want to go to the barbecue, you want to catch a movie, you know, you doing something tonight, you want to go to Fridays, Dave and Buster's, you know, we can play some games, no?
Yeah, that's what I kind of meant by it's not the villain that like everyone expected her to be by the end of the movie.
Exactly.
Because she might be hating something for a different reason. But
true.
That's what I meant by that, is that she might really not be the villain that everyone expected her to be by the end to set up for 101 Dalmatians. But
you haven't seen the remake of the last live action with Glenn Close, so
no, I have not.
Brooklyn hasn't seen those, so which is, I think in this case, also helps the situation because she is the minority and she hasn't seen that, so her mind frame is just gonna go strictly from 101 Dalmatians. So when she thinks of live action, she's gonna see that and be like, oh yeah, they kind of hit to the form. She was a villain. I like it, but when the majority who's seen the other 101 Dalmatians remake, and I mean live action one, and then Glenn Close gets put on board to be executive producer, and if you hear all that, then you're gonna be like, okay, that's gonna be in the same vein as that, and once she will see, it's apples and oranges, and it's definitely not the same. So overall, you like the movie and you recommend it?
Yes.
Right.
But it is an acquired taste. If you like villains and if you like high fashion, just fashion in general, you will like this. Or if you like The Devil Wears Prada, you will like this movie. But if you don't like any of those things, you're probably not going to like it, like my father.
Which, I did like Devil Wears Prada. I will say, Devil Wears Prada got a little busy. I'm not even going to stunt. I like Devil Wears Prada, which also explains I like aspects of this movie.
Yeah.
But, of course, people that wrote Devil Wears Prada wrote this, and then they rewrote it. The people who did Edge of Tomorrow. Not the same movie. So, obviously, the Devil Wears Prada aspects I get busy with, but obviously they completely missed me when they went with a completely different writer with some completely different genre. What does action got to do with this? Anyways, so I've been doing my little boop boops, more fires, light it up, all them things I see. I've been hearing people say they like the more fire. So, more fire, boop, boop, boop. I'm getting that might be the angle I want to go. So, on a scale from 1 more fire to 5 more fires, what is your more fire rate?
Well, if you know me, I always do like decimals, so I'm gonna give
Okay, so let's give it a decimal.
I'm very much a decimal person, so I'm gonna give it. I'm not gonna give it a full 5 because it did end up being confusing in some points. I might have skipped over it, but after he explained it, it does show that it was a little confusing. So, but I have to give it credit because it is one of my favorite live action ones, the newer ones, like against like Aladdin and all that. It felt like a live action movie. They didn't really change a lot but we also didn't know a lot.
Yeah.
So I have to put it in a higher because I like it more than the
it is one of the
live
better
action
ones,
yeah, because to me, Beauty and the Beast was my favorite live action because they didn't change anything about the story. But, so I do have to put it a little bit higher because they did change a lot in Aladdin, and then they did change a lot in Lion King, and I didn't really like that because those are my childhood, and I don't like that. But, so I'm going to have to put it a little bit higher. So, a 4.3. I'm going to give it 4.3.
So, that's like a, let's see, so that's like a more fire, more fire, more fire, more fire. More?
I guess, yeah.
And a boop, 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 boop. Okay. So that's what you roll with?
Yeah,
all
I
right.
think I'll give it 4.3.
All right, so Brooklyn gives it a 4.3 more fires. I I will be, for me, I give it a 3 more fires. I give it 3 more fires. So I say, more fire, more fire, more fire. Boom, boom, boom. Light it up, Yessie. Well, I'm a bit extra. But hey, but there you go. That is our take on it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The next movie will be